but we'll do our best. So Stepan takes care of this area of, we call it expansion room. We got 3 areas. One area is called the expansion room. The other area is machine or equipment room. And then we do have an assessment room. So we're gonna go over those 3 areas and in turn. So both Stepan and Mike will be switching demonstration and explanations of stations that we're gonna go over, okay? All right, let's start off with this expansion room then. Stepan, carry on please.
Follow me, camera person. So over here on this side, we have Cybex and Live Fitness and one Novelist machine. So these are basically just some basic strength equipment that you can gain. Here's some back extension, crunch, leg, knee flexion and extension. We have the rotary torso, so that's more. So these 3 machines are more on your core, and then those 2 are for your legs. So over here is a different piece of equipment. This is kind of more focused on balance, so but specifically on your proprioception. So Michael is going to show you an exercise on one leg, and he's going to toss the ball whichever way he prefers. He's doing a chest pass, and right now what he's working on is his proprioception foot, and then also him moving the ball away from him, and then he has to catch it. So he's working on his hand-eye coordination as well. So this piece of machinery is mainly focused on your balance and proprioception component of fitness. Well, these machines over here, they were working on your muscular strength and endurance. So over here, you'll see all these tables. So I'm gonna have Michael's gonna come right here, and it's very slow. So we're gonna be showing you 2 exercises. I'm gonna show you a manual resistance exercise, and I'm gonna be showing you a flexibility exercise. So for manual resistance, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have him bring both of his knees up. I'm gonna put one arm on top here. I'm gonna provide resistance here above his ankle. And then I'm gonna have him fully extend his knee. And relax, down. And then fully extend your knee. And relax. So that's manual resistance, an example of a manual resistance exercise. He's doing it on knee extension, okay? And basically I'm having my elbow and my hand stabilizing his leg. So then all he has to do is focus on the extension of his right. So the next exercise I'm going to show you is a hip adductor stretch. So I'm going to provide support on the bottom of his leg above the knee, and then also above the ankle, still again on below. And I'm going to bring this out as far as he can go. So what you want to do is make sure that the foot stays pointed up, because if you turn his foot, then you're doing a different stretch. So pointed up, and then you're going to pull as far as you can. Hold, you're going to do repeat 3 times for 10 seconds each. And you can do the same for the manual resistance as well. So now we're going to come over here. Oh, forgot, no touching. So real quick, we're going to show you the orthotron. So Michael's going to place himself in here. And so this machine can work on both flexion, knee flexion and extension. And you can decide whether you want to work on both or whether you want to work on one at a time. So you can see these dials here. One says flexion and one says extension. So So when you set the machine to 10, that's going to be the lowest resistance. And when you set it to 0, that's going to be the highest resistance. So for example, if I set both these to 0, try to move, he's not moving, or he's moving a little bit. So it's not fully all the way. But when you move it close to the 0, it's going to be providing the most resistance. And you move it closer to 10, it's going to find the least amount of resistance. So we can work on that and try to get it to where he's able to move both with the same amount of strength eventually.
The unique thing about this machine, Autotron machine, is great for knee rehabilitation in early stage. You can do concentric, bilateral concentric exercise, meaning, as Stefan mentioned, you can do knee extension concentric, knee flexion concentric. Another unique features of this machine is you can do isometric exercise of the knee at a specific angle. So you can set up at 45 degrees, can you set it at 45 degrees? And then knee extension isometric exercise at a specific 45 degrees angle. That's the unique feature of this Autotron machine.
All right. And so over here, I'm not going to demonstrate it because it takes a little while to set up. But you can see these 3 machines here are what we have are called ankle machines. So what they work on is inversion and eversion, as well as plantar and dorsiflexion. So the only real difference between these 2 and this one is a hydraulic, which we'll learn more about in the other room. But the hydraulic basically is pressure, has numbers from 1 to 6, 6 being the most difficult and 1 being the easiest. All right, so now we're going to go over here to the standing table. So Michael's going to come over here. I'm going to strap him into the table. Yep, okay. So these straps are going to go in a specific spot. So you want to kind of palpate where you're going. This is going to go right above the knee. Michael's going to try to help because I can't see this bar on the other side. All right. So you want to make sure always both sides, it's above the knee, not on the patella. Okay. Make sure it's tight, but not too tight. Okay. The next is going to go on the ASIS. Okay, you can feel that also by palpating. Okay. And then the third is going to go approximately where the xiphoid process of the sternum is. However, if you have a female client, they may decide whether it goes above or below their breast. Okay, just for comfort, because it does provide some amount of pressure. So we don't want to make them any more uncomfortable. Because when it lifts them up, all the weight is going to be down on the machine. So if you have a client on here with, for example, a spinal cord injury, you may want to have this machine here nearby. This is a blood pressure cuff. I'm not going to show exactly how to use it right now. Maybe probably go over that when we do cardio. But this is going to be monitoring his blood pressure, which we will want to do at the beginning. And then depending on the situation, may or may not be every 30 degrees. But for the most part, we're just going to bring them up as long as they feel okay. And then mainly when you're bringing them down, same situation. Okay, so we're going to lift him up. First a little bit off the table so it doesn't touch the ground, and then slowly go up. So Mayumi is going to move over here just so you can see the bottom of here. So right here, these are degrees, right? So right now we moved about 20 degrees. So usually we'll do this around 30 degrees, but every 30 degrees approximately, you're going to be checking that blood pressure, making sure they're okay. Okay, so we're going to bring them all the way up, just to show, instead of going up to 30 degrees. And so fully upright, you need to notice, fully upright is not where this machine is fully 90 degrees. It's from where his head and shoulder is able to be straight down. Because if he has no support here, he doesn't have that core strength, depending on his level of injury, he's gonna hang here, and we don't want that. So always make sure, and you can see here, this went too low, right? It slid down, so that's why I didn't support him at his chin. Okay, so we're just gonna bring him back down, and then as you would go, you would continue to monitor blood pressure once you bring them back down to make sure that they may have autonomic dysreflexia, so that it doesn't act up and they feel okay. Next, we're going to be going over there, which is the functional motor skills page. So these are stacking cones. So stacking cones are good because they allow you to work on your figure manipulation and hand strength. So basically you can just work on grasping and placing, right? Or you can also work on supination and then, pronation and then supination, whichever direction I'll be going. And depending on the level, you can have them stacked higher. But stacked higher isn't really more of the hand thing, that's more of movement of their shoulder. But depending on how you situate this, you can work on different aspects, flexion, extension. So you just go like this, right? So different ways to handle and move the cup around so that they can get better at grasping and holding cups and things like that at home. Okay. So now we're going to go to the other room.
Yes, before we move on to the next area, let me just quickly point out, this is something that you learned yesterday, the Hoyer lift, mechanical Hoyer lift with their blanket. And also the big frame that you see over there is called the Biodex gait trainer frame. It's a partial weight bearing gait trainer that it's almost like a toddler's walker. So they wear a harness and then we can hook them up and the device will support their body weight as they're trying to learn how to walk again. That's how we utilize the Biodex gait frame, okay? So before we move on to the next room, we'll recap what we just learned in this expansion room. Expansion room has core station as Stefan and Michael just demonstrated. Core station area, core strength station, and then we have a proprioceptive training and balance training area, that corner. We have about a dozen treatment tables that we can perform manual exercise, including manual flexibility and manual resistance exercise, as you've seen demonstration. Down that corner, we went over ankle and knee exercise station, including orthotron machine and ankle strength exercise machine. Then over here, we went over stand tilt table. As people with a quadriplegic condition, this may be the only chance for them to practice standing. Standing is an exercise for them. And we're gonna go more in detail about standing tilt table protocol, how to monitor their blood pressure change to prevent orthostatic pressure change there. And finally, that corner, we briefly went over 5 motor station. There are a bunch of gadgets down there, but most commonly used one is the cupping exercise. There's a shoulder arc, there's a leather for shoulder and eye-hand coordination exercise. Bunch of functional devices that you can work on putting key into keyholes. That's what we have there. And then finally, I showed you the Hoyer lift and gait training frame. Okay, let's move on to the next area called equipment room. We have over 80 to 100 different exercise equipment in that area. I'll first point out stations and then demonstrate a couple of representative items from that area. So let me give you a quick orientation of this area. As you can see, there are a lot of equipment. And this place is going to get really packed and busy. Once we reopen the center physical operation, we may need to space them out because we don't have a 6 feet apart among the equipment. So right here, where Michael and Stefan is standing is strength station. We have a bunch of hydraulic resistance exercise machine. And we call these machines total machine because you can do total body exercise from legs to arms. Okay? The same hydraulic system down here, specifically designed for abduction and adduction of the hip, some forearm pronation, supination, and wrist exercise machine. Then we have a regular weight pulley system down here, but they're not that regular. It has a hidden figures for wheelchair users. So you can demonstrate how to pull out the bench. So this is a conventional chest press machine, but this is a universally designed. So wheelchair users can just roll in once we swing out the bench, and then ambulatory clients, people are able to walk. We just need to put the bench back to do seated press. So all of these conventional gym machines are designed for universal accessibility. Okay, we have a wall pulley over there and other pack fly and reverse pack fly machines and leg pull down machines. These are all strength related equipment. And then lastly, I just want to show you upper tongue machine. This is a specifically designed strength machine for wheelchair users. So they can just roll in and they can do seated press, they can do deltoid raise, they can go around to the external and internal rotation. Instructions specifically on this machine, so we're not going to waste time demonstrating this. Okay, so that's about it for strength station. Let's quickly move over to cardio station on this side, please. Cardio station, we have a lot of seated cardiovascular exercise machines. So these are seated steppers. And then classic arm bikes down there. And there's a computerized machine for cardio called the MotoMed. This machine can allow you to do passive exercise and active cycling. So for a combination of active and passive exercise, we have a specific video instructions on this one too. So we're not gonna demonstrate that. New Step, same thing. One of the most popular cardio machines that our clients are using. The seated steppers, there are a bunch of ways to adjust their exercise intensity, changing the resistance levels or changing the range of motion. We'll go over that in that segments of cardiovascular exercise lab. Then what do we have? We got elliptical machines. And particularly this Cybex elliptical machines has an accessibility feature such as the foot plates can be stabilized. Most of you experienced when you go to gym, stepping on the elliptical machine in the beginning, it's kind of scary, but it's wobblier and unstable pedal. This one, we have a locking mechanism to keep that foot plate stable. So when you step on, it's a firm space and you can unlock. You can unlock the foot plates.
Isn't it? No. I think they took it out.
Yeah, I don't see the lock.
The lock's on. The lock is gone. The lock is on.
Unfortunately, the lock is gone.
Oh, it's here. Oh, there it is.
Okay. We found the lock now. So that's the lock to stabilize the foot plates. And then you swing it out to unlock the foot plates and you can start doing elliptical exercise. Good? Okay, and then we also have stationary bikes. These two are kind of conventional stationary bike with a recumbent bucket seats. So we are supporting their posture. When they don't have a stable seating posture, they can still do seated cardio using these recumbent bikes. And this is a similar looking bike, but it has a cross-training features, meaning you can do cardio using both arms and legs. So while you're pedaling with your lower extremity, the arms can be going into more punching motions or rowing motions. So that's a unique feature of this cross trainer. Okay, anything else I'm missing? Well, we have a bio step here, which is slightly different from a new step. New step is more linear, pushing back and forth. Bio step, similar concept, but they have more elliptical motions in their foot motions. So that's more advanced or progression from linear stepping to seated elliptical motions. Okay, let's talk about now mobility and functional motor skill stations.
Okay. So here we have these two machines. I think like Dr. Jung said, I'm not going to go too much in detail because there are videos that we have for these. But these machines here, the Easy Gliders, they are for someone who is trying to regain the motion of kind of stand. In this, what you're gonna have to do from both sides, you can see the lever for this machine is on the left, the lever for this machine is on the right. So if you're gonna transfer your client, they're gonna have to be on the opposite side because obviously you don't want to have any more obstacles to go through when you're trying to get the client into the machine. So I'll just have Ryan just really quickly get into the machine. Just slide this down. We're not going to tap it in because it's fine. And then basically you just move this forward, okay? And then he's going to slowly come up. So similar to the standing table on the side, you can see there's degrees as well. So this has the same protocol as the standing table, where he can come all the way up. It's kind of slow, like I said. And then once he's up, it's going to push his chest. You can adjust this as well. Push his chest into here, and it's not moving. So once it's pushing his chest in, then he can put his hands and do his exercise. So you'll notice that he's moving the arms, and the arms is moving his legs. Because as you know, people with paraplegia or quadriplegia may not have the ability to do this on their own, so they have to use their arms to do that motion for them. Okay, how do you relax? Then you're gonna come down. So notice, as I'm having him come down, all I have to do is pull it back, and then he's coming down. I don't have to jam it back or anything like that. Okay. And then over here, we have the Bowdex balance system. So again, I'll have Michael come onto here. Pretty easy. There it goes. So a lot of people get confused between on and start. Start does not turn it on, you have to turn it on. So you can usually adjust this to their height, but we're just gonna show you really quick. You're gonna go to, usually you go to here to the left, to training, not really testing. So we'll just show you the most popular, which is maze control. His height is about here. And then you can see here, all these dots are gonna be his target. So right now I haven't started it. So once I press start, so I'll have him hold on to the sides, you're gonna see this dot appear, okay? So this dot, you can see Michael right now, he's shifting his weight. So what this dot is showing is his center of pressure. It's showing where he's putting the most amount of pressure on this block, okay? And then that's how he's guiding that dot around the maze, okay? So this, again, is gonna be for balance and proprioception. And he's basically trying to regain the ability to maintain posture when you have an unstable surface, which most of our clients are going to need. Okay, so and then when you're done, you can always turn it off. Okay, over here, you're gonna have the parallel bars. So you can see down here, down, up, wide, and narrow. So same thing, that one's a little bit switches. So basically what you're gonna wanna do with your client is you always be in front of them, and you're gonna adjust the height of the parallel bars to where they need it to be. So for example, you're gonna always want it to be at the wrist level, and then narrow will just be to where it's touching. So right now there's a little bit too wide, so I would have to come more narrow, and that's perfect for me right here. Okay, so your client, obviously they have more bad posture, the wrist is gonna be lower. As long as the wrist is not below the hip, you're gonna wanna make sure that that's about the same, okay? Because if they're too low, we don't want them grabbing down there. So kind of you would have to make that distinction per person, but generally it is at the wrist. That's pretty much it. You can do gait training exercise. There's also a thing over there to hold on and use. If you don't have a lot of strength, you can support with your arms, move across. You can do balance exercises here, either using trampoline or these balance pads. We also have the new the RX pad here as well. So you can do your balance exercise. This is the safest place to do your standing balance exercises, as well as your dynamic balance exercises. So now we'll go over here. This is the biodex skate trainer, similar to that other thing that we have in the other room. I think it's off. So the way this works is there's a little switch. Usually this will be on before you get in. And this machine is going to help you to track your step length and speed and kind of match it to other people in that same height range as you, so that you're trying to improve how you do your steps, whether the machine will tell you you're not taking big enough steps, or you're taking too big steps, things like that, and that's gonna give you feedback so that you know how to step onto the machine to improve your gait pattern. Calibration is required. I'm gonna click OK. Okay. All right. So just show you really quick. I'm gonna go to gait trainer. She hit the baby on my head. No, not yet. So I'll click male. Just put some age. These numbers are important because it's going to be matching. It's going to be matching your age and gender and height to other people, and then that's what is going to give you for your approximate step length. Obviously, that can be adjusted, but so when you change the walking speed, it's not going. It's not going. Okay, so gait training won't start unless it gets to at least 0.3. So I'm going to put begin gait training. And so right now you're going to be seeing Michael's steps right now. So as long as he gets in this green, this is where he's going to be wanting to get within this green line. So right now, he's consistently he's getting it right down here. So this one is a better one. But he's going to be wanting to both steps to be in this time. Yeah. And it's going to be telling him, see, both go longer. So in this sense, it's going slow. So it's making it really awkward for him. So I'm going to speed it up to about a normal pace. And then now he can start to walk a little bit more normal. Yeah, now he's getting a bit better squat. Okay. Okay, so results, you can see his average walking speed. You can see his step cycle, his step length. You don't have to worry about coefficient of variance. And then his time on each foot. So that's basically going to be whether or not he's spending more time on one leg than the other. And then that's going to give you as the trainer some knowledge on, oh, they're really leaning on that non-affected side when they're doing their gait. So they haven't learned yet to relax and get more time on the other leg. So over here we have Flexicizer. Flexicizer does passive and active motion. We're not going to be showing the active motion, but they're all stuck. All right, so Michael's going to put his feet in here, and then his other foot here. Okay, and then you can see here, this is the dial to control how you turn it on. So before you turn anything on, you're going to put the timer. It has to be at least 10 minutes. Okay, and then you would switch on. Still doesn't move. And then from here, you're going to slowly control the speed that it's going to be moving. As you can see, it starts at about 50. Okay, so the reason we do this in order is because we don't want to just drastically move, have their legs move. Because most likely they're going to have spinal cord injury, they're going to have spastic movements, and those spastic movements generally come from a rapid increase, that they didn't know that was going to happen. So his foot came out. It's not supposed to happen. But as you can see here, this whole thing is moving on its own. I'm going to increase the speed a little bit. So he's holding on, and it's moving his hands as well as his legs. And as you can see, it's a little bit long. He keeps scraping his own leg. But generally, it's probably the wrong one. Yeah. But this is going to be for passive motion. So as you can see, this is doing a similar to like your new step. So it's doing that similar, I mean, it's more of a cycle, but it kind of like that stepping pattern. And that's getting their legs and arms to do motion, whereas they may normally not be able to get that on their own. So a lot of our clients who need to use this will spend a good 15 minutes on here because they need it. Yeah. Anything I missed?
That's great. We're going to learn more about this one in the next chapter. It's called the CPM, continuous passive movement, or continuous passive motion exercise. Those who cannot have a voluntary exercise for their flexibility or cardio or mobility training, we are using the CPM mode for their training. And as Stefan was mentioning, it was mimicking reciprocal patterns of your walking. So when your left arm going forward, you pushing your right foot forward, right? So you learn how to do that reciprocal patterns passively using these machines. It looks like just lazy bike ride, but it has a great benefit for their flexibility and range of motion, to their passive cardio, and also it's helping their neuromotor re-education of their gait patterns or mobility. Okay, we got one last machine left here, and KIN311L, a quick demonstration.
All right, so Michael will get on here again.
The machine is called the KIN311L, and this is a progressive stepper. So unlike the conventional stepper that you have to stand up and step, our clients can do stepping exercise in seated position and gradually progress into partial standing and upright standing stepping exercise. That's why I would call that one as a progressive stepper. And the manufacturer named it as a KIN311L by Cybex. So go ahead, Stefan. You can demonstrate the buttons and
Yeah. So on the right, this is going to be adjusting where the foot plates are. Generally, you want this to be a little bit higher from all the way to the ground, unless obviously it depends on limb length. But you want it to be a little bit higher so they have some motion to be able to move their feet. So this left one here is going to be moving him himself. So generally, once they start, when they barely start, it's going to be lower. Okay, and there's, as you're going to see over here, a dial. Okay, so as he moves, he's going to move it. You see that dial moving. So over here, this is going to be kind of in charge of that. If you remember on the other machine, the difference, so the higher number was easier and the lower number is harder. So we're going to keep it around this lower number, okay? And then he's going to be moving, and then you can see it provides more. So continue, keep it on there. I'm going to move it to the other side, and now it's not providing as much, right? So you can tell he's not doing as much work now. I'm going to bring it back. Okay. So as he's trying to increase his strength, because the goal of this machine is to increase the strength of his legs so that he can eventually stand. And so right now he's doing what I'm eventually going to have him do. I'm using the chair. So getting him up higher, so then he can get a more gate-like step. Okay? Because obviously you don't walk like this in a seated position. So now he's more upright. He has these handles to support. These also come out, so they can hold on a little bit better. Okay.
And the gauge can set up a target for them to make strong enough steps. So you can use that red guideline or target line. So ask them to match that target line.
Yep. So that's again, there's going to be functional motor skills. They're trying to gain the skill of standing. Okay. All right. So these are stairs, similar in I guess design, because it has these two rails. So this is for a client who has now progressed. They can stand now, and they're trying to regain. They can maybe walk, but now they're trying to gain even more strength by doing steps. So they'll be holding on both sides. They can be taking their steps. You as the trainer are going to be in front, and then they're going to come up, and then they're going to come down. Obviously, when you're working on stairs, depending on which direction I'm going, if I'm going upstairs, I'm working on different muscle groups than when I'm going downstairs. So this has both, so that you can work on both, because nobody just goes upstairs, nobody just goes downstairs. Work on both. So this is a perfect small piece of equipment that they can use to gain strength, so they can walk up more stairs. Generally, there's not only 2 steps for things, so it's going to gain that strength and that ability to do their activity of daily living a lot easier.
Okay, that pretty much covers all the functional motor skill related equipment that we have. Lastly, we have a weigh station here, so slightly different from regular weight scale. This is designed for someone in wheelchair can be weighed without getting in and out of wheelchair. It has a feature that automatically subtract their wheelchair weight as well. So that's how we utilize this. Okay, Michael is willing to demonstrate his weight. So you can weigh their wheelchair weight first, and then you can enter that 34 pounds, and then click tear. The next time your clients come, even though she's sitting in the wheelchair, she rolls in onto the scale, that it will automatically subtract her body, her wheelchair weight from her body weight. So there is a Michael's weight. All right. So last spot for the center tour and orientation is our assessment room. So let me escort you to our assessment room area, and we'll finish this tour/orientation. So this is our lab and assessment room. In this area, we have a lot of interesting gadgets. If you take a look at the ceiling area, we have a high-speed motion capturing system mounted on the rail. So we can motion analysis or gait analysis using those high-speed cameras. And also in that storage, we have a telemetric metabolic system that we can measure your energy expenditure or oxygen consumptions. So if you take a look at these posters using that telemetric or wireless metabolic cart, we can check someone's oxygen consumption while they're walking in the pool. And we also have a 3D motion analysis system in our pool, so we can do underwater motion analysis, as you see in these pictures. Okay, and another equipment that we have is the F-NIR system that I talked about earlier today. It's neuroimaging device. You wear the screen cap, and you can move. You can scan your brain real time. We have a ambulatory BP monitor that you can wear this device. You can go about your life or business. We can download your blood pressure change throughout the day. And let me open up this area. We have a computerized muscle strength dynamometer that we can measure your muscle strength in major muscle groups in your body. And the big machine here is called the Neurocom Balance Manager and Master. And we can train and assess balance performance using dynamic force plate with this big apparatus. And sometimes it can make your visual input very disturbed. So when you cannot rely on your visual input, we can test out your other balance system using the machine. This machine can also allow you to check your reactive balance. So what I mean by dynamic force plate, the force plate on the bottom of the machine can unexpectedly move or slide forward or backward, tilt forward or backward to see how quickly you're recovering loss of balance. So that's a unique feature that we have in this machine. We use it for mostly for research and assessment, but you can also use this one for training. Last one here is the long force plate. Unlike the force plate that you see in the biomechanics lab, which is about this square size, this is a long force plate that you can do a lot of functional balance tests, including tandem walk, sit to stand, or you can set up some staircases, as Stefan was explaining earlier. You can have a step and over or clearing curbside without losing your balance. We can do all sorts of functional balance assessment using this long force plate. Okay, is there any questions? I think that wraps up our lab orientation. Let me give you a recap of our expansion equipment room area, and we're gonna close our lab orientation. Once you enter this area, on this side, we have strength station, hydraulic resistance exercise machines, and regular isotonic pulley system, which has a universal accessibility features as we demonstrated earlier. And we have a wheelchair user specific strength machines such as upper tone and the rickshaw machines over here. So that's what we went over in the strength station. On the right side, we went over cardiovascular equipment. Cardiovascular station has a lot of seated steppers and seated elliptical machines, seated arm bikes, computerized arm bikes combined with leg cycling called MotoMed. We have elliptical machines. We also talked about stationary bike and some cross trainers. Okay. Then we move on to mobility and functional motor skill. Mobility and balance stations down here. Easy gliders, combination of stand tilt table with passive exercise, or it can be part of their mobility training. It can be standing combined with a gait training. We also briefly went over Biodex balance machine. It's almost like computer video games with a screen. It will ask you to shift your weight to train your balance again. Classic parallel bar, height and width adjustable. Not only you're doing gait training on the side, we can also use these balance training gadgets to safely implement balance training. Then we switch over to treadmill area. We got 3 treadmill, one specifically designed for running, the other one for gait training. Particularly Biodex Gait Trainer has a screen that gives you feedback on your step length and step frequency. That's really helpful when you have an asymmetric step patterns. So you can encourage, or feedback can be given real time. You have to match up the length of your right side with your left, something like that. And over the treadmill, you will see another partial weight bearing gait trainer. So the harness that I was talking about, you can set up 30% weight off. The harness will lift 30% of your body weight, so you can have a less weight bearing while you are training for gait. And other things that we talked about, the other end of this room is Flexerciser. It's a classic CPM machine, continuous passive motion exercise machine, lazy bike ride. So sitting in wheelchair, the machine will move you into bicycle pedaling pattern. You can put some arm attachments to combine arms and leg motions using this machine. We have 3 of them. They all have a different crank size or length. So depending on their leg length and then range of motion available in their hips and knees, you can pick different size of crank length. And also arm attachments all have a different lengths and different angles. So you can pick and choose to accommodate your client's special needs or their limitations. Last machine that we went over here is called Kinetron. Generic name for that is a progressive stepper. So you can work on stepping exercise from sitting position to partial standing or stool sitting, upright standing, or standing with arm support. And there's a lot of bells and whistles that you can adjust the stepping volumes and resistance and getting feedback from the dial and providing them a target pressure that they have to press down the steps and staircase and weigh stations. So here's a long view of our equipment room, cardio station, mobility station, and back there is our strength station. Okay, any questions before we wrap up? And we'll go more in detail of each station starting next week, okay? Some machines like MotorMed, that's relatively new to even our staff. So we have a videotape talking about how to use the MotorMed for CPM or cardio or a combination of active and passive exercise. We call it forced exercise mode. So we're gonna talk about that. If there's no questions, we are gonna wrap it here. So thank you everyone for your attention and have a good weekend. I will see you next week.
Thank you so much. It was great.